This just in. Evidence has surfaced supporting claims that lizard people have infiltrated our governments and are running the country. Just kidding, Hoops fans, don't worry. However, latest Hoops do have some pretty juicy cover-ups, controversies, and conspiracy theories surrounding the NBA. In fact, we've gone to the trouble of putting together a video about it so you can be as in the know as we are. But before we give away too many secrets, we've got to give you something else first. A chance to win a free PS5. That's right, we're giving away a free PlayStation 5 with Madden NFL 21 and NBA 2K21 included. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is subscribe to our latest Hoops channel, like this video, and leave a comment letting us know which story shocked you the most. Once that's done, switch on notifications for our channel and you're in. Keep an eye out and we'll announce the winner in the coming weeks. Now that you're in the know about the giveaway, let's bring you up to speed on NBA conspiracies and cover-ups that any Hoops fan should know about. At this point, we'd like to thank our sponsors. QAnon. No, we're just kidding again. This video is all us, baby. So sit back and enjoy. We all know there have been some pretty big cover-up and conspiracy theory stories in the league over the years. We're going to go through some of the biggest and most controversial with you today, starting with something that shook the league to its very core. We're talking about what is perhaps the most controversial moment in league history, the Tim Donaghy gambling scandal of the mid-2000s. Tim Donaghy was a referee for the NBA, and it was discovered he had been gambling on matches he was officiating, and he was convicted of the crime in 2007. The common misconception is that Donaghy only bet on games he officiated in collusion with gamblers for a single season. However, an investigation into the matter brought to light that he and a friend, Jack Concannon, first started betting on games Donaghy was officiating way back in 2003. That's almost 4 years before the NBA even got a whiff of the matter. An official NBA investigation found that Donaghy had never actually fixed matches. But still, many basketball fans around the world are of the opinion that the story was covered up and hushed to a large extent to protect the integrity of the league and hide the true extent of the problem. In fact, Donaghy, after serving his term in prison, criticized the NBA for his treatment and was adamant that other officials in the NBA were just as corrupt as he was, and that their corruption was in support of the objectives of the league office. He even alleged that one of the most controversial games in NBA history was decided by the influence of 2 of the 3 officials refereeing the game. The game in question was the Game 6 of the 2002 NBA playoff series between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Sacramento Kings. That game attracted widespread criticism for its officiating, with many feeling that the Lakers won as a result of rigged officiating that saw them shoot 40 free throw attempts, 27 of which came at the last quarter of the game. To give you an idea of how incredible that is, the average number of free throws per game over the last 10 seasons is 20.26. That's for an entire game, for both teams, not just one. So if the Lakers shot 27 by themselves, then it's understandable why it would lead to such an uproar. Donaghy's attorney filed with the US District Court in 2008, testifying to the fact that the game was in fact rigged and that 2 of the 3 referees involved had decided beforehand to ensure the Lakers won, and extended the series as it was in the best interests of the NBA to do so. Now, referees rigging games in the interest of the league as opposed to doing so for personal gain is a different story entirely. Still, both are matters that seem to continually rear their head in relation to the league. A recent example being the Warriors-Cavaliers NBA Final Series in 2016, where Draymond Green ended up being suspended for Game 6. To sum up the Donaghy scandal in a nutshell, many fans in the NBA, both past and present, have at times suspected matches were rigged to make the league more profitable. The 2002 Game 6 match and Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Heat and the Mavericks being prime examples. Tim Donaghy's conviction in 2007 meant those suspicions became certainties in the eyes of many of those fans. Whether the league was rigged for the personal gain of the refs themselves or the league made little difference. It confirmed to everyone who had raised an eyebrow that at some point there had indeed been something dodgy going on, even if it was never directly linked to a game they had suspicions about. The fact that the story was so quickly hushed up and brushed aside by the league suggests there is more to it than we ever found out. Investigations into the matter by those independent of the league confirmed that to be the case. And so, the match-fixing scandal remains a huge controversy and cover-up in NBA history and could well remain a problem in today's NBA. Amazingly, the NBA hasn't only been accused of rigging games in recent years. Far from it. The NBA draft lottery that we know and love has been the center of conspiracy theories since the very first edition of the event in 1985. To give you an idea of what we mean, we've picked out a select few that are dripping with conspiracy. But there are 5 or 6 more at least that have caused some eyebrows to raise over the years. The big daddy as far as lottery fixing goes is that very first draft in 1985. The story goes that the New York Knicks had been wallowing in the league for some time now, with no real change in sight. The 1984 season was the worst they had suffered in 20 years. They finished with the 3rd worst record in the NBA, which, under the old draft system, would guarantee them the 3rd pick. But with the lottery, they had a shot at number 1. And guess who got it? That's right, New York got it. The argument for it being fixed is that New York is a big city with a large fan base, and having a good team there would be worth literally millions, if not billions of dollars to the league. As for how the lottery was rigged, well, that's a pretty easy answer. The first lottery was done using giant envelopes in a giant tumbler. The new commissioner, David Stern, would then reach in and pick out teams one by one. The conspiracy is that the Knicks envelope was bashed up against the side of the tumbler so that David Stern could feel it and pull it out first. Adding fuel to the fire is that the NBA has since taken the video off of YouTube and other sites, claiming copyright of the footage. This is something the NBA almost never does. Other NBA drafts have attracted similar controversy and speculation. Perhaps most memorable was the 2011 draft, in which Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert's own son, who was 14 at the time, said, "This league has a habit, and I'm just gonna say habit, of producing some pretty incredible storylines," which obviously implied that the lottery was fixed so that the best stories would come out of it. The 2011 draft was the year after LeBron left the Cavaliers in shambles and took his talents to South Beach. Similar testament was shared the following year when the Charlotte Hornets conveniently landed Anthony Davis in the same year the franchise became league-owned. The logic behind giving the Hornets Davis is that it would drastically increase the value of the franchise ahead of an attempted sale by the league. Davis is a generational talent and is one of the most highly rated college prospects of the last 20 years. It's hard not to buy into the narrative that the league influences where top picks go when on so many occasions the outcomes of drafts seem to conveniently favor teams in need of a good storyline. We aren't saying they're definitely rigged, but something is definitely fishy. So now we've given you 2 of the greatest controversies and subsequent cover-ups to ever rock the NBA. The third one is something a little less serious but a lot more fun. Of course, we're talking about the Chris Paul trade being vetoed by David Stern. The beauty of this story is that there are so many different stories as to why the trade was vetoed that it kind of makes you feel that there has to be something dodgy about the whole thing. To give you a bit of context, Chris Paul was going to be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers by the New Orleans Hornets back in 2011. The deal would have paired Chris Paul with Kobe Bryant and, amongst other things, sent Paul Gasol to the Houston Rockets and Lamar Odom to the New Orleans Hornets. However, David Stern vetoed the trade, and so it never materialized. The official reason Stern gave for vetoing the trade was that he was protecting the Hornets. At the time, the Hornets were owned by the NBA, so Commissioner David Stern had the power to block the trade as any team owner would. Speculation was rife as to what had actually gone on behind closed doors, because NBA trades are never vetoed if teams come to an agreement. One reason given was that NBA owners had disapproved of the deal, a story that was fueled immensely by the leaking of an email from Dan Gilbert to David Stern imploring him to block the trade or at least put it to a vote involving the other owners of the league. Adding further fuel to the fire was the fact that at the time, David Stern's authority to run the franchise actually came from the other 29 NBA owners, as they had all agreed, after being convinced by Stern, to purchase the Hornets in order to save the franchise from going under. Another thought was that Stern was hanging on to Chris Paul in order to be able to sell the franchise for more money. Paul was among the best players in the league at the time, and his departure would have seen the franchise's value drop immensely. His official reason doesn't exactly stack up after he allowed Chris Paul to go to the Los Angeles Clippers for what wasn't an obviously better return, with Eric Gordon being the only significant piece. All in all, we think it's highly likely that something dodgy went on behind closed doors regarding that veto, especially considering it's been claimed that general manager Dell Dumps had been assured by David Stern that the original Lakers trade could go through, even telling as much to the Lakers and Rockets general managers in trade discussions. Well, there you have it, latest Hoops fans. 3 of the most controversial cover-up and conspiracy theory combinations the league has ever seen. There are still more juicy stories out there if you want to investigate for yourselves. We may even do a follow-up to this if you guys let us know you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want a chance to take home that shiny new PlayStation 5. Be sure to check back in with us soon here at Latest Hoops. We've got tons of NBA content headed your way in the days and weeks ahead. That's all for us today. Until next time, keep shooting your shot. And that's it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one.